Above hell, the Dark Lord confides in his most trusted company, himself. Mephisto likes what he hears. Greetings, Chromatic Warriors! Coming in today with a very special project from Atomic Mass Games. I believe this will be given away as a tournament trophy, but it's a special 3D print of Mephisto, either way, the Marvel Universe's devil. So it's going to be a dance of red tones, which I'm very excited to work monochromatically in a way. He's going to be sitting on top of a stone throne, but everything else will be a delicate cross-weaving of red hues. So, let's get into it. High atop a burning throne, in the beginning. So, here is Mephisto. First of all, let's get some things color blocked. And voila. Okay. A lot of time has passed in reality, but the video, not so much. So I just want to get things blocked in a little bit, so just kind of getting my footing, knowing where I'm going. As I was saying, this is going to be a study in reds and just shifting those values, but so far I've base coated the throne and the stonework with gray castle, matte black, and a little bit of the darkness to add that kind of colder tone, contrast all of these warm colors, some burning ore on the chains, fiery vermilion for the suit, some blanched berry for that deeper red, and then some pale sand with fiery vermilion. I'm finding my way on the face, but I just want to get some things blocked in, and then matte black with fiery vermilion for the hair. Got some areas all color blocked in as we were discussing those base coats in brief, and now I can start having a little fun, getting more detailed. So I'm adding more gray castle into that foundational coating for the stone. It's the standard working from the inside out. Seeing as he's sitting on the throne, I'll paint the throne and then the dude upon the throne. And I could wet blend my way through this, but I decided to go for the more traditional approach. I'm cutting out the wet blending and going right in with the feathering and or layering because it's giving me some fun textures. And after all, that is one of your many forms of contrast, the contrast of textures. So it'll be nice to have some varying finishes at play on this. Coming back at you, more of the same, but I'm getting a little bit brighter with my gray progression, and I just wanted to share some of that. The texture coming through, the gradual rise in value, and I'm working and having to, analyze my work, correct it a little bit. I tend to go very dark, but as I'm seeing it, the character seated inside of the sort of bowl of the throne, a lot of light will be able to reach in here, so sort of push it into a brighter area. But you can see how my slightly kind of watered, the paint is diluted down for feathering and layering like I was doing before. But you see how this kind of slapping technique almost, the way I'm sort of stacking these slaps of paint up. Seeing is believing. It's funny to describe these things sometimes, but yeah, letting these pools of paint dry and then overlapping them, increasing saturation, causing more textures to come through as the overlapping saturations crisscross one another. But I just wanted to share a little bit more of this brightening work. Okay, looking very nice. You can see I pushed a little more orange into that flamey root, yeah, we'll call it that, down at the base. I'll deal with that later, but now I want to move on to the reds. And first of all, I'll be taking care of the deeper red in his outfit. And I'd like to point out, it's a very textured sculpt. And I think it will be easy to get tunnel vision immediately and start pulling into those wrinkled textures, but you have a lot more colors to add as you highlight. So it is important at first to establish an overall value, running across his pelvis right here will be entirely fiery vermilion mixed down with a little bit of blanched berry. I'm just gradually going to be adding fiery vermilion into this as I go brighter, popping back in and moving right along, coming in with pure fiery vermilion now because I've finally kind of blended up to that value. See, I have a much smaller brush being brought into play, and now I can start paying attention to all those subtle textures across the pelvis once again. But I want to point some things out. So as I'm working along, these leg wraps are an interesting area to discuss. We have a shadow that would be occurring in this area from the leg overhanging, but I feel like the light would slowly start to creep back around, producing a little bit of a highlight at the top of the ankle here, right across the front of the shin. I'm pulling more of a specular highlight into play at this point, trying to round out, add a little more volume to the calf muscle over here by highlighting along the side, and also the front of his other shin is a good example area. As it just is, it's not as cocked back as the other leg. It's more on display and exposed to the light. If we look at it from the side, we can see the shadow coming from the back to the front. There's a lot of subtle plays to bring in here, but that is the general direction of things, and I'm just saturating towards the front at this point. It's looking good, but as I'm working along and highlighting what I intend to be a deeper red with fiery vermilion, and it matches his fiery vermilion bodysuit, things start to look very muddy. So I'm going to attend to the bodysuit. I have some fiery vermilion, and I'm using glowing Inferno to brighten this up. So I'm mixing as always, but I'm limiting myself. Like, glowing Inferno is the brightest that I'm going to go. I'm just gradually going to move through mixtures of fiery vermilion and glowing Inferno till I get to that pure glowing Inferno, which will take a while. I'm going to move gradually, but that's what we're here for. There is no rush. I'm just committing to some patient, meditative art making. And also, the same rules apply. Earlier I was talking about the texture of these folds, not getting lost in that. You can see I'm looking at, let's focus on his torso. I'm just looking at the overall trunk of it, before I get into all of these more subtle shifts. I want to make sure that my overall value is established. All right, taking a big step ahead, rounding the corner on a couple of stages. You can see I'm getting the bodysuit up to that pure glowing Inferno. Just being very attentive to my facings. It's in such a cocky pose. No pun intended, but this very lazy, kind of sagging in the throne pose, and he's spreading his legs. So I was just finding it necessary to kind of highlight the cylindrical inner thigh up to a medium level, but it just, it wasn't looking right. So it's kind of a little correction I noticed along the way, just tending a little more closely to these inner thighs. It's good to do the kind of arm's length, or rather photographic view sometimes. I'm looking at the model and looking down at it, like the camera angle is like so. This is kind of my eye level, but certain poses and positions, it's always good to remind ourselves that, the intention is to be viewing the model at a slightly different angle than we may be painting it from. Checking my work as I go. And the other thing I'm tending to, the cape, the loincloth, the cowl, it's all been brought up with fiery vermilion, and the whole kind of fun experiment part of this project. I was excited to work monochromatically the dance of reds, so to add a little bit more to that deeper range of reds, some black and blanched berry, Just adding to the shadows, just to further, differ the bodysuit from the flowing cape. Further crossing the floor in the dance of reds. This is a fun intersection, having the bodysuit having been raised to pure fiery vermilion, and also the cloak now. But we must pull them away from each other, making things separate with that glowing Inferno highlight on the body. And now I'm adding a little bit of space dust in to the fiery vermilion. And when you're working with red, if you just add pure white, it deadens the tone pretty quickly, which is fine if that's what you're after, but I want a little more vibrancy to this, so I think space dust is the ticket. It's giving me a nice warm salmon tone, as you can see. I'll just continue to raise up all these burgundy areas. Let's put some focus on the face. I have more work I'd like to do around it, but as I realize I keep propping my fingers on top of his hands, I might want to take care of some of these more inner details and work my way out. So previously his face was base coated with opal skin and fiery vermilion, and I'm using a mixture of those two colors once again, so including more opal skin to make things brighter. And a face like this, he has some evil villain texture, and it's easy to immediately start carving out those textures, but with this first pass I'd like a much more broad display of light. So I'll go all across the forehead, blocking things in a much more general sense. Now we can start adding some of these tighter details. I've added more opal skin to the mix, getting a lot more tighter with my level of focus, just picking out all the folds finally, that upper cheekbone, the smile lines, highlighting the front of his, the upper mandible area, the chin. Yeah, just working my way with a gradual lift up. Continuing along, I've painted his eyes and teeth up with opal skin, and now I'm coming in fiery vermilion. God, very, very lightly. Just want to line, to give him red eyeliner. I think that would be quite sinister. Let's try to gently line this in. Some of those lines don't come down as solid as you'd like, but steady is the course. Very sinister stuff. It's the moment you've all been waiting for, the addition of that pure opal skin. Very nice, man. I'm loving the way that stands out against the darkness. I'll do the hair next. I did paint the pupils off camera. They're just two red dots. It's hard to do on camera, but positioning them in a way that he's gazing forward in a most sinisterly way, well, that's just a good idea. Now let's talk about that hair. So first it was a mixture of black and fiery vermilion, and now I'll be gradually adding more fiery vermilion into that black, just varying my mixtures of fiery vermilion ever so slightly. It's important to think of hair as a reflective surface, so you can see me locking in my channels of light, so to speak, just a gentle halo across the crown of the red prince, the dark red prince. I've introduced more fiery vermilion into the black and painting a much more compact area to produce this kind of long shadow in mid-tone, and then very bright highlights, nice and smooth. Doing up that dew. I've got a nice red reflective channel going on, and now with the tiniest amounts of white, just a gentle slash. Don't want to overdo it, but yeah, I'm throwing this white right on top of the red, kind of leaning into, my thoughts are of a comic book style, so I can put a pure white highlight into the hair. Got to be careful and draw it just right, though, and here and there I was going back to the fiery vermilion, Like, I advise you not to do it too heavily because I began by doing it too heavily. Do you like me? Do you think I'm funny? Please, like and subscribe. Yes, oh yes. The face and hair are looking very nice. I think I'm good on those. And I can move back to the bodysuit. The areas that I was propping my fingers on that were rubbed down are being brought back together. And I can also go up to my maximum. I'm applying pure glowing Inferno. That was a little heavy, but I can sweep it up, push it around. There we go. But yeah, I'm pulling pure glowing Inferno into play. I still might want to go one brighter, but it's nice to be seeing this fiery yellow interact with the red. Everything's coming together and just looking oh so shapely. And you may have noticed a sharpness to the deeper red areas as well. I've mixed up to a near pure ice yellow. I haven't gone quite there yet. You can see how these kind of quick and sharp highlights with the, they give me definition, but the broader midtone and shadow areas still allow that to appear overall as a darker red. After playing around a little bit, I'm finding that I like the way using ice yellow as the maximum for both the bodysuit and the deep red. I like the way that ties the whole model together, kind of crossing through that fiery vermilion at one point and then connecting back at this ice yellow peak. I really like the way that makes things chromatically weave, we'll say. But I'm laying this ice yellow down in very, very sparing amounts, and I'll be sure not to carry it down the entire abdomen. I know the temptation is going to be high to highlight everything uniformly, but this has been a lot about value control on the main Mephisto, and I just want to concentrate the ice yellow to the upper kind of bust area, shoulders, the chest, the neck, the cowl, and the knees that are protruding. And then the devil did cast a shadow, and the shadow was in red of the devil. Yes. I'd like to bring a colorful cast shadow into play. I've been waiting for this moment. Is in a pose that is just so. I feel like it makes it very easy to apply the drop shadow. There's not a lot of it's such an open pose, but yeah, if you look at his left side, you can see the shadow that is painted in place. And how to find those shadows is by gently tilting the model like so. I mean, it is up to the artist to illustrate the shadows in such a way. You must find the lines, but of course through observation and trying to maintain a similar angle on all the shadows is the best ticket. So just tilting the model underneath the lights, observing right where that sharp cut will be, just gradually pulling it into place. I have black mixed with fiery vermilion. Yeah, mainly I'll have the larger shadow thrown underneath his biceps, but as always, when you get these larger shadows in place, the smaller shadows become more apparent to you. So I'm sure I'll have much more to trace out in my shadow search. But yeah, I like this colorful choice on a mystical creature for the cast shadow. What fun. Okay, cast shadows applied. I may find room for more, but I'm happy with this so far, and it is putting my attention back onto the throne. Coming in with pure gray castle. This will allow me to sharpen up that shadow work and just bring some texture and a little bit of warmth on top of that cold throne tone. You can see I have my work cut out for me. There's a lot to take care of, but I'm here for it. And once an area reaches that pure gray castle, I'm going to switch over to Augur blue, liking the way that the temperature plays with the red tones, of course. And yeah, it works well as a nice lighter tone, kind of, I guess I'm sandwiching the gray castle in between cold shadows and cold highlights. And it's just giving me a really nice look for the stone. Again, that's also very good complementary action. Enter yet another ugly phase. You can see it's time to attend to the flame, and I want to make things easy on myself by doing a little white underpainting to ensure a very vibrant orange and any other colors I see fit. I'm also going to create this really cool plinth interaction. These flat tops give me an opportunity to do something a little different. So I wanted to look like the chains are pulling it apart. So around where they're planted, it's shattering, and more of that flame tone will be pouring out. But yeah, again, first to just make it easy on myself, I'll lay down some white lines. It might seem a little tedious, but in the long run, it's going to be a lot more sharp compared to trying to bring an orange up on top of this black. Coming right along, next up, I'm going to be lining over those white lines with lava orange. I'll have to do this in a few layers, but yeah, that previous step is helping it show up in a much more vibrant fashion. And I can also add smaller cracks wherever I please, just adding a little bit more to the fragmentation. And now, the reason I didn't go too hard on these rocks down below. Coming in with Archangel Red and airbrushing that in place. That's a lot of fun. And on top of the groundworks, see I'm bringing up these gradual globes of light. And wherever there's a little intersection, I gradually bring out a glow, but I don't want to overdo it. I may come back and sharpen things, but yeah, it's a little airbrushing for now. Now before I get to the rocks containing the flame, I'm going to come in and start brightening things up. First laying down some lava orange. See, I'm using a fairly large brush, and it's a little on the watery side, just letting the gravity and the texture of the flame do some of the work for me. Start to shove it downward into the crevices. Further enhancements. I've got the burning ore back out, and I'm lining and defying this rock pile. Give you a little tour around. You can see the saturation needs to increase in certain areas, and I'm also casting some line work upwards and adding a little bit of stony texture to that. And I'm also just about finished with that lift up of lava orange, just brightening the flames. Also with that lava orange, I want to start brightening up these intersections, especially where the orange glow from the airbrush is coming down. A little more coursing heat down below. The flames are looking nice. They'll still need some more work, but now I can corral them somewhat by attending to these rocks. Same as before, it's mixtures of the darkness, black, and gray castle. I won't waste too much time, but just knocking back some of that airbrush spray. Continuing to walk further into the flame. Oh boy, it's a burning mess. But I need to go in and sharpen all of these cracks, just lifting things up a little bit further with some lava orange. You can see the lava orange is sitting nicely amongst the flames as well, serving as a mighty fine mid-tone. And then towards the depth of the flame where it will be hottest and brightest, that lovely demonic yellow. And at the top of these whippy licks of flame, I have lava orange combined with a small amount of black. It gives me a brown of sorts, but I don't know, I just prefer to mix it up this way because it comes out with a particular smoky dinge. But yeah, a lot of steps at once. Just wanted to lay them out so I can rock around the model. Things will look a lot more clear after these flames have been more rendered. I'll also be attending to these intersections as I work my way around. Might as well brighten everything that I can see. So I'm raising it up with glowing Inferno, and then just the smallest amount of demonic yellow. Very nice. I have to be careful. I don't want the attention to be pulled too much to the lower area of the base, but don't think I have biffed it yet. Oh, hello, you have just found me wet blending these heavy chains. Got any loudness fans out there? Okay, it's burning ore, wet blended into matte black. Following that, I'm going to, yes, highlight every single link of chain with glowing Inferno. You can hear the excitement just building in my voice. In the upper pure black area, just a little bit of black with lava orange once again, just like the tops of those flames. This needs a little bit of volume, but yeah, I don't want these chains to stand out too much. All right, happy painting. For the final step, I've got a deeper red mixed up from Blanched berry, fiery vermilion. Just want to add a little bit of dimension to the shadow, pull out some of the stone textures ever so slightly, and yeah, I like the way that looks, adding a little bit more of that red to the shadow, making it look even more unnatural. Oh, burning madness. I really enjoy the flat space. Some of these plinths I see have a bit of an ejected forest look where certain things do not rise high enough to a certain eye level, and they're simply cut off and replaced by a black space on the plinth. So it's cool to approach this with a more illustrative touch in mind. And of course, I had a great time weaving all of the red tones together. This works on a lot of models. I hope that people don't watch these and simply think, oh, I don't have a Mephisto to paint, so I guess I'm not painting. This has me hungry to paint a fire dragon, or the lord, another lord, Fuegan himself. It is, in a recent conversation I found out it was Fuegan. But this video is about Mephisto, so I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know how you feel in the comment section down below. As we drift along down that chromatic river, you may cross my shores again, sailing warrior. And until that day comes, remain unchained.